Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to AriesEDC. Today, we're checking out these two. These are the two Tenable knives that I received in the pass around group. We have the Tenable Cryo and the Tenable Fenrir. Pretty impressed with these two knives. So it's a not new thing, I guess, something that companies are doing where they're spawning off and they're creating a budget brand under a larger umbrella. I think Svivi did it first with Sencut, and then some others have followed suit. Tenable knives is an offshoot of Concept. So basically, these are Concept knives, but a budget version of Concepts, and they're just calling it Tenable. And I have been able to handle a couple Tenables, and they're all pretty stinking cool. Because guess what? The premium versions of these knives under Concept are much more expensive. But you are getting the exact same quality and the just in different materials, but everything is pretty much the same. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about this first. This is the Tenable Cryo. Now, this one is interesting. I wanted to pick this one to talk about first because there is a Concept Cryo, but it looks completely different than this one. But man, this thing is pretty stinking cool. $57 basically on the Tenable website in this format. Unfortunately, I looked at it just now, and at the time I'm filming this, these are sold out in the purple and the black. There might be some others available, but they come in a lot of different varieties of colors and handle materials and blade colors, etc. You have the nice purple anodized aluminum handles. You have a 14C 28N bar lock blade, and it is a pretty large one too. As you can see, it does not skimp in the size of what it is. So this is a blade length at over 3.5 inches and overall over 8 inches. So it's a nice big full handled blade. Let's move this out of the way so we can talk about this. So we have a nice bar lock. You have the aluminum that's nicely rounded off on all the corners, on all the handle. It looks really, really clean. You have this nice, somewhat deep carry clip. The clip is not recessed, but the screws are. You're still gonna have about that much sticking out of your pocket, so that's not too terrible. It is a steel frame lock that has been milled out. So if you look down in there, you can see all the milled out sections on the frame, which kind of lighten it up a little bit, but I find this a little bit heavy. Let's see, do they have a, they're calling it 5 and 11 ounces, 5 ounces, 5.11 ounces. So, you know, you've got a pretty hefty blade, but it does have a little bit of weight to it, but not crazy. There you got the drop point blade, which they did really well. What are they calling this finish? This is a black wash finish and 14C 28N. So the black wash finish looks very nice. It's like a black stone wash finish. Again, the nice anodized purple, done very, very well. You have the nice thumb studs here that allow for a reverse flick and a thumb flick. And the jimping is minimal, but it is in a good spot way back here. I wish it went forward a little bit, but I'm not real big on jimping anyway, so it doesn't bother me whatsoever. When I did first do the unboxing on this, I noticed that the bar lock studs, so the studs for the bar lock, are very shallow, so they don't stick out hardly at all, which maybe that's a good thing, because there are some bar locks like this where you have the studs for the bar lock that stick out like that, or maybe even the Warhog, although yeah, you can see how these stick out a little bit farther. where these are very recessed. They don't stick out hardly at all, which kind of make it a little bit difficult to access, but not crazy. It took me a little while to get used to it, but once you get used to it, it is very, very smooth, and the spring tension is perfect. And once you dial it in, yeah, it's really, really good. And it's a really amazing knife. At some point, I'll show you guys what the regular cryo from Concept looks like, or at least I'll try. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Depends if I can figure out how to do that. But overall, pretty stinking happy with it. $56, $57, 14C aluminum. I mean, it's done really, really well. So let's look at some size comparisons on this one. We have the Rat 2. Obviously, we are a much larger territory than what the Rat 2 is. And of course, the Civivi Elementum, you're in the same boat, where this is going to be much larger than those two knives. And then finally, we have the Para 3. But obviously, you're talking a much, much longer overall blade. The handle is pretty much almost the same, just a little bit longer than the Para 3, but obviously you got a much larger blade. And I'm really appreciating what Tenable did with this one. It is a little chunky, thick. You can see, let's see if we can see that versus the Para 3. You can see that you're actually a little thicker on the cryo than you are the Para 3. So you can take that into consideration, neither here nor there. You got a big full blade. This would be a great little work knife, nice big work knife, I guess, not little. That is definitely not a little blade, but the Tenable cryo looks really, really good. So now let's talk about that one, the Fenrir. So I've seen the Fenrir, and when I saw it, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, it's interesting blade shape, but nothing thrilled me about it when it first came out. And now that I've gotten to handle this, I can totally see how that blade shape is a very useful design. And I will say, that button, this is a button lock, and that button is tuned perfectly. Now this is a pass-around knife, along with the other ones. So these guys have been passed around, they've been broken in, they've been in a lot of people's hands, and I'm sure flicked over and over again. But I mean, just fantastic. Again, you got the black washed 14C 28 and blade. Then you have the micarta, the purple micarta, and the aluminum scales, done very, very well. And in this format, it's $69 for this knife. Not that bad. Unfortunately, again, they are sold out on this. I don't know if they have any others available, especially when this video actually comes out. So you have the black washed blade, the purple micarta, and the black washed aluminum on the back side of the handle. It is a steel frame lock, and it has been milled out on the inside. And this one feels very light, and that openings on that milling on the inside, you can actually see the micarta on the inside. They really did a good job of removing material and making this very, very lightweight. And man, when you hit that button, it's closing no matter what. That is closing on you. You got the nice harpoon with a little bit of jimping back here. So that harpoon, you got a nice choke up area with my big fingers. It fits well, and you're ready to do any of the cutting that you need. You can get behind the blade. You're still 4 fingers and very, very comfortable. No hot spots. The clip is done very well. Again, the clip is not recessed, but the screws are. But it's done very, very well. So you have $68 for that one. And I forgot what that one was. $57 for that one. Not bad, since the closest thing I find on the website for the cryo for Concept, this one is $129 for the Concept cryo. And then for the Concept Fenrir, you're talking $180 for one that's very, very similar to this, except for you have a little bit higher end products with titanium and S35 VN instead of 14C. And I don't mind 14C. It's a great budget steel. And man, Tenable is just knocking it out of the park. It's amazing when you can get the concept quality, the concept action, the concept fidgeability, the concept everything, except a little bit cheaper materials. And I say cheaper, more budget-friendly materials for us that are really considered more, like these are more in the budget that I am able to afford. Not everybody can afford a $150, $200 knife on a weekly basis, monthly basis, that they're going to actually be able to use. Where these, you could buy them and feel comfortable using them a little bit more than something that's a little bit more expensive. But that's just the way I am. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, but that is 100% up to you. Let's look at some size comparisons on this one. On this one, on the website, this thing is listed at 3.45 inches and overall at 7.93 inches. So let's look at some size comparisons. We'll start with the Civivi Elementum. Obviously, you see that it is much larger than Civivi Elementum. And then the Rat 2, again, it is much longer than both of those. And then finally, we have the Para 3. Yep, you can check that out. So obviously, it's bigger than the Para 3, but the handle is pretty much right there. Just a tad bit bigger than the Para 3, but done very, very well. So I am really stoked about being able to experience these two knives by Tenable. They are doing some really amazing things, and if you ever get a chance to pick up one, I definitely would recommend it. So thank you guys so much for checking these two out. I hope you appreciated it. Please remember, subscribe, like, leave a comment, or not. Again, the choice is yours. Have a good one, guys.